Welcome back to Guns and Gains. I'm just doing another quick episode that is going to follow up my Washington update that I put out on 420. This was kind of a sad episode for me to make just because of all the industry that I work in and the future that I want to see Washington State take, and unfortunately the direction it seems to be going. But I want to say that over the last few days we have seen so many suits get filed. It's awesome. I've been so happy to see that. So I just want to talk about a few of them. I am not a lawyer. I'm just trying to get these places more coverage, right? A big thing of where we come from and supporting them is who are these people who are fighting for our rights and making sure that we can live in a free state, and that state that doesn't take our constitutional rights away. So the first one that we're going to talk about was one of the first ones filed. It was one that I actually knew about because I actually know one of the people, which is super exciting. He's an instructor. And he's awesome. So this was filed in the United States District Court for Western District of Washington. The plaintiffs are Lawrence Hartford, Douglas Mitchell, Brett Bass, who's the instructor that I know, Sporting Systems in Vancouver, another big shop, Second Amendment Foundation, based out of Bellevue, Washington, where I'm located, and then the Firearm Policy Coalition. I believe they're out of Vegas, but they're one of the biggest active one of the big dogs in the 2A fighting for your rights industry, so it's kind of fun. Versus the following plaintiffs: Bob Ferguson, John Batista, Clayton Myers, John Horsch, Adam Fortnoy, Chad Enright, Greg Zempel, Tony Golick, and Jason Cummings. And so all these people have different, they're either chief law enforcement officers, they're attorney generals, they are chiefs of Washington State Patrol, they are prosecutors for the counties that these plaintiffs reside in, and that's done for a very specific reason, because I think you have to have plaintiffs. You can't just do King County if everyone's in Snohomish, for example. So this one, it defines everything. It does a really good job laying everything out, and it talks about the different parties. And I encourage everyone. It's 21 pages, but I think it's double spaced, and a lot of it is actually the bill itself. Washington has criminalized the common and important means of self-defense, and so it goes through what the ban defines, and a lot of that, a good page and a half, is just listing the list that the bill had in it too. So it's not as long as a read as you would think it would be. I made it through pretty fast. So they really break down what is and is not, and all these different things and all the issues that the bill has, right? Then it goes through the plaintiff facts, and how these infringe on their rights, right? From an individual standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, from a business standpoint, because there's a business owner on these, which I think is a really strong way to do it, because you can say this affects individuals, this affects communities, this affects people's jobs, etc. And so I think that it's also interesting that they're doing a Second Amendment violation and a 14th Amendment violation. So it feels like it makes it really strong, because I feel like people are well, screw guns, blah, blah, blah. But when you bring in the 14th Amendment, I think it brings in broader terms that more people can agree on if they're anti-gun. And just as a reminder, because I definitely did not remember what the 14th Amendment was, it basically states that all the states get to make decisions unless it is a violation of the Constitution. So the text says, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws." So I really like the way that this lawsuit really lays things out. I think it's very, as a non-lawyer reading through this, very simple, very easy to understand, very forthright with what they want. It explains the issues within the law. It says why how this criminalizes law-abiding citizens, and it doesn't make anything, it doesn't help anything. So I really, really, really like this one. The next one that got filed, I don't know by order, but this is just the order that I'm reading it in, so that's kind of the order that it's going to talk about in. It was filed in the Eastern District of Washington. Amanda Banta, sharpshooting indoor range in Spokane, the range out in Yakima, Aero Precision in Lakewood or Tacoma area, and then the National Shooting Sports Foundation. So plaintiffs being Bob Ferguson, and then the chief of the Washington State Patrol, that's John Batista. So this one again, very, very similar to it. I think that having Aero Precision on it as a manufacturer is a really good angle also, because you have to think about all the jobs and the money that Aero does bring in when you talk about exporting within the state. They do a lot of business. They've built a very good reputation over the last few years, and so it does affect things, and they are asking for that relief. The plaintiff, Amanda Banta, she's actually kind of cool, just reading on the parties on the list, and I'm probably going to go look her up after this. She is a 2012 Olympian for Team USA in the 50-meter rifle three-position event, and the member of U.S. rifle team for 10 years. So she won a bronze medal at the 2007 Pan American Games, and also competed on Ohio State University's NCAA rifle team. So, I think that's honestly kind of cool. Like, they found someone that is very invested in this, uses it for a different reason other than, the paramilitary, hyper-masculine, how they tried to define it within the bill, which was very kind of crazy that they got away saying that. But the other one was 2 gun shops went on, 2 FFLs, and saying how it would be damaging to their business, which makes sense. Aero Precision, again, the manufacturers, nearly all of the firearms Aero manufacturers are now banned. And then the NSSF, National Shooting Sports Foundation, they help preserve the sport of shooting, and so they have a different take on it also of, being supportive of the hunting and shooting heritage that the United States has. It's very unique to the United States, so, and I think that they might be their legal backing for all of this, but I'm not sure, because usually it says, like, oh, this person, and then, like, Firearm Policy Coalition, or, like, Second Amendment Foundation, but I think that NSSF might be the lawyer team. I'm honestly not sure, though. Again, not a lawyer. In this one, I think that they did a really good job defining everything and talking about the history of the AR-15, the development around it, how AR does not stand for assault rifle, it stands for Armalite rifle, because that's the original company. And so I think that clearing that up, talking about it, and kind of taking away some of the scariness around it, talking about detachable magazines, pistol grips, flash suppressors and stuff like that. I think it at least it informs them to know how stupid some of the things that they were saying was. So hopefully, if anything, maybe someone learned something. I don't know. They also use the Bruin decision as a little bit of, I don't know if you call it precedent, but in the claim for relief, that's kind of what they say. Point 64, they say the Second and 14th Amendments protect an individual right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. So they definitely use a lot more citing of things. I don't know if that's good or bad. I like reading through it as a consumer because I feel like I'm learning more, The multitude of this is point 66, the multitude of semi-automatic firearms that HB 1240 prohibits are indisputably, quote, arms within the meaning of the Second Amendment. Indeed, practically all modern rifles, pistols, and shotguns are semi-automatics. James B. Jacobs in Why Ban Assault Weapons. And the state cannot prohibit the entire class of arms that is overwhelmingly chosen by American society for a lawful purpose. Heller. So I like that one. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know how well it does. Again, I don't know how well any of these do. I think it'll be a matter of time as we see all these move through, what will happen. And I just want to read this part, point 69 and point 70. At a minimum, these arms are presumptively protected by the Second Amendment, so Washington would have to, quote, affirmatively prove that its regulation is part of the historical tradition that delimits the outer bounds of the right to keep and bear arms. Brun. Set point 70, Washington cannot make that showing. There were no restrictions on firing capacity, reloading mechanisms, or the kinds of attachments the state has singled out when either the Second Amendment or the 14th Amendment was ratified. Although many states and federal governments began restricting fully automatic firearms in the 1920s and 30s, only a handful ever imposed restrictions on semi-automatic firearms. Just 3 states and D.C. outlawed semi-automatic weapons that could fire more than a certain number of rounds semi-automatically without reloading. And each of these laws was either repealed outright within a few decades or replaced with a law that restricted only fully automatic weapons, i.e. machine guns, which, unlike semi-automatics, were never widely adopted by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. Moreover, none of these early laws took the extreme approach of banning semi-automatic firearms. And then they asked for a temporary and then a permanent injunction, and of course the normal lawyer fee and everything like that. The next one that I want to talk about is Gun Owners of America. They put out a blog article on April 26th, so yesterday. They said they are going to be doing something, but they're just not doing it yet. So just to read a little bit from that press release that they made. GOA and our members in Washington fought against this tyrannical piece of legislation every step of the way, but gun-grabbing legislatures pushed it through the legislature, ignoring the rights of their constituents. But rest assured, we're not packing up and leaving. There's more work to do. GOA and our legal arm, GOF, are fighting this exact type of gun control with pro-gun lawsuits in other states, such as Illinois and California, and the outcomes of those lawsuits will most likely help Washington. While the Illinois lawsuit still is in earlier stages, GOA are fighting the assault weapon ban in the 7th Federal Circuit that has the potential to set precedents in the courts on their AWBs in the whole United States. We are also fighting gun control measures in New York and know that Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito have warned the Second Circuit that the Supreme Court is closely watching their actions. GOA and GOF are also filed lawsuits in the Fifth Circuit in Texas, challenging the pistol brace rule that the ATF enacted to create felons out of millions of innocent people. We know the Ninth Circuit, where Washington is located, has a perfect 54-0 voting for gun control, so our legal team with GOA is strategically looking at options to provide the best outcome for the people of Washington. GOA will not leave our members in Washington behind, and we're looking into every option to undo this tyrannical bill stripping you of your God-given right to bear arms. So, I just want to say they're not giving up on us, and seeing that come through, I was like, I gotta see you guys put something out. I just want to see you guys put something out, and I'm really, really happy that that happened. Even though it wasn't a lawsuit that was printed, it was something. The last one that did something, to my knowledge, again, I could be way behind. I'm only talking about like 3 that I know of. I heard that there were like 7 or 8. The last one that I want to talk about is the Silent Majority Foundation. So they're actually based out of Pasco in Washington State in Eastern Washington. I believe that they are appealing in Eastern Washington courts, not Western Washington courts, which are a lot more 2A friendly. So they did that. I cannot find their legal brief or their the lawsuit in full. I really like reading them. It's kind of fun to see, how they're set up and what approach they're taking and everything like that. So keep in mind, these are the people that are fighting for us. So we have Firearm Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, Silent Majority Foundation, and then Gun Owners of America will be coming up hopefully with something soon. If there's anything that you know of please, 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 like, reach out to me and tell me. I'm more than happy to add another, look at another lawsuit, put something else in my bio so that people can keep up on it. Because I think it's always so cool when I have all this interaction from everyone and say, oh, I'm supporting this, I'm supporting that, this is what I like, this is what I don't. I think it's really important that we band together and just make that happen. So I just wanted to give a little update that things are happening in Washington State. We are very, very excited for this. Support your people, and we will see what happens over the next few months. But I'll be trying to put another episode out shortly. It'll be a gym episode, so be on the lookout for that.